Hi everyone, welcome back to your next video for installing and setting up your IDE. So the last video we installed the JDK and we installed NetBeans as our IDE. I did already have Visual Studio pre-installed on my device, so I will be walking you through how to set up a project in NetBeans as well as Visual Studio Code, since Visual Studio Code is commonly used in the industry for the capability of working with various programming languages. So I will show you both. But first, we'll go ahead and get started with NetBeans. As you see here, we don't see much going on. That's because we didn't set up our environment, and that's what we are here for. So first, we need to create our project that we will be working in. And a project, it's basically the same thing as a folder. So it would house all of the code that you will be writing for a different project. So let's say you're building a web application in this project. The next project, you're building a video game. So you wouldn't want your files to be getting mixed up, and that's where projects come into play. Just think of it as a file folder like how you have in your documents. So you can either click here or click the icon. I'll go with the icon. And you see it says choose a project type or category. So NetBeans does give you the ability to work with other languages, as you see here. And then there are 3 different types of Java that come with different components. And you see here it will also give you a description. So if you look here, it says you are recommended to begin here if you are new to Java. So Maven is basically the easiest to use. It is known for being a project management and build tool, so making it a little bit easier for you to work with your files, and it's just easier and basically better for beginners. So we'll go into that one. Go here. So you would make sure it's highlighted, and then you click next. It's going to go ahead and run, and then it's going to show you this screen. So now you see at the top we have some taskbar that has shown up, and it's building a dictionary down here, so it's setting up our environment. And the main thing you want to do is go ahead and name your project. So for this course, we will name it Java Intro. So the Java intro is now going to hold all of the tutorials and files we are going to be working with in this course. So it'll all live in one folder, one place, and it'll be easier to find. Now the rest of the stuff we can just ignore. It's not a big deal. The main portion you want to make sure that you know is the name and the location. So you can feel free to go to the browse, and then it will ask you, okay, where do you want it to be? I'm going to say that I want it in my documents folder, or actually, let's put it on the desktop. It'll be easier to find. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on my desktop. You can select where you want to put it, however you organize your computer. Once you select your location, you would click open. It will then place it onto our desktop to make it easier for us to find in the future. Once you've given your project a name and location, you can go ahead and click finish. In this case, Windows asked me, is it okay for this app to access your desktop? So I'm going to allow that. And if you look over here, now I have a folder called Java Intro on my desktop. And right here, I now have my full environment set up and ready to go with a included sample project, so you can easily get started on your NetBeans environment. Now I'm going to walk you through the side of Visual Studio Code briefly. So here is Visual Studio Code. As you see, similar setup, a little different. So for Visual Studio Code, if you choose to go this route, this paper icon is where you would see your files. Similar to on NetBeans where we have it right here, this is the version of that on Visual Studio Code. And this is where you would open or create a folder. So you would say open folder. Let's say we want to go to our desktop, and we see our NetBeans folder. So technically, you could open this up in Java, or I mean in Visual Studio Code if you would like. We're not going to do that because the NetBeans folder does have a little bit more background files that go into it. As you see, it keeps going deeper and deeper. So we will go ahead and go here, click desktop. We will create a new folder for Java Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to say Java Intro VS Code, and then you know the difference. Click create, and I'm going to open that up. And then it's going to ask me, can it allow to trust? I would say yes, trust. And now we have a folder created where all of our Java files will live in VS Code. So now that we got that, VS Code, you would have to make sure you have extensions. So this little box right here is where you would install what you need tool-wise for the programming languages. As you see here, there's Python, HTML, and different things of that nature. So here, we're working with Java. Click enter. Here's your most popular one. So extension pack for Java, that's the one we'll go with. It's provided by Microsoft. So you can download that. See here, it gives you the steps to set up. So we basically installed a JDK. So it will provide you step by step to walk through to set it up as well. And that is how that goes. So if you feel like adding on more languages, for example, C++, they have packages for that, so you can work with any language in here like I mentioned before. Now I'm going to go back to my file folder, and we're pretty much going to do the same thing as NetBeans, except they gave us a free file. But to walk you through the view of VS Code, here is where you would add new individual files. Here's where you would add new folders. So we'll just go ahead and do a new. So we'll do Java intro.java. So in order to create a Java file in VS Code, you have to end it with .java. When you're using NetBeans, it will automatically put .java for you because it is a Java environment. It's automatically assuming that it's going to be a Java file. But in VS Code, it doesn't know what language you're working with because it has so many different languages you can work with, so you have to specify it. So you say Java intro.java will tell it Java. Once you have that, click enter. And then you see there that it will create your file, and it's giving you, hey, we have this extension if you would like. But I created that, and it automatically populated my code with something similar. Didn't necessarily set me up how this one did, where it gave me this main class, which I will go into. But it does give you a sample. So we will get into that in a second. I'm not going to deep dive into that, but that is how you set up your IDE to get started coding. And to run it, there is a play button. So after we go through the tutorial, you'll see what I mean. But this play button here is how you would run your code in VS Code. It will then pop up the output in the screen. Same over here. You come here. Here is the play button. You click the same thing there, and then it will run your code. So that is how you would run your code. Now, again, each of these IDEs have a bunch of different things you can work with. So you see here, here's a toolbar of things you can add, put onto your tools. Debugging that we talked about in the last video, working in a team. Here's some more tools you can add. Windows files, layouts, help. here's your edit. So as you're working, you can come here. Here's how to, navigate, formatting, and basically it has options to do a lot from NetBeans view. If you click on VS Code, you see it's not as detailed, right? Because again, VS Code is tailored to a little bit of everything in programming languages. So it just basically has your bare minimums as far as how your view looks, if you need to find a file, if you need to run a program, things of that nature. So it's not as detailed as NetBeans, which is why I'm recommending using a Java-based IDE, but it doesn't really matter. You still get the job done. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully this helped you set up your environment going forward. Like I said, I will mainly be in NetBeans. I will throw in some VS Codes examples as well, or copy and paste it into VS Code so you can see how they work both ways. But mainly I will live in NetBeans for this series. So you should be all set up and ready to go, and hopefully it was painless. And in the next video, we'll get a little bit deeper into our Java basics to get us started working and writing with code. So I will see you in the next video.